NBA season is officially underway, and we're about 2 weeks in. There's been some good games so far. It's been some shocking things that have taken place, some not so shocking things that have taken place. So we'll talk more about that. This is Ball Mount, host Sean Robinson and Grant Rhodes. Grant, before we get into the show, your Lakers. What you feel about
Hmm.
your Lakers?
No, for one, I ain't gonna lie, I'm feeling pretty good. I'm feeling real good. Cause what I've been saying too is I need Anthony Davis needs to take over more of a primary role as being like that dude. And so far, I mean, again, it's 6 games into the season, whatnot. Where I'm not gonna make a huge deal out of it, but what I've seen so far is the Lakers for making really no actual off-season moves, as far as other than obviously the draft. But this is basically the same team, but they look like they have so much more energy and they look so much more like put together. Like
Yeah,
I don't know if it was simply just the coaching adjustment too. Like I think JJ Redick actually is kind of perfect for this team because he really like he has a different mind than some coaches too. I mean I'm not saying he's like this phenomenal coach or anything yet, but I like what he's doing in terms of like Anthony Davis, for example. You know, he doesn't really want to play the five, but you have to kind of utilize him in different areas. And I think he's doing a good job at putting him in positions that are going to make not just him succeed, but like the whole offense just works better. Because
yeah,
before, like I feel like last season, like we'd see times where like at least the Lakers just looked like they looked like a high school team out there. They just looked lost. Like it just looked like there was no direction at times. Like it just looked like you just purely rely on talent just to go out there and just play, which
yeah,
like the Lakers have talent, but that's just not how it's like this team's not going to succeed like that. And I think just so far from what I've seen, again, putting Anthony Davis in that role, uh, really just utilizing a lot more of the shooting aspect of this team too, playing, the pick and rolls, whatnot. I think this team is just playing much more together right now, and so no overreaction or anything, not going too crazy, but I definitely like where this team is going, and I definitely see them in playoff contention for sure. I would almost say I'd put them at that 7 seed, 6 seed, but I don't know if I want to say six. I'd say seven right now early.
okay. I like that. That's not a bad evaluation. I mean, yeah, you mentioned JJ Redick. He's been good so far for them, I will say. And I don't know if, like you said, it's his first season, so I don't know how good he'll do, just as a coaching career overall. But so far, it seems to be working. He seems to, know what he needs to do and make the changes. So I'm
I mean, he
excited
seems
to
to
see.
have like a good like control of the locker room too. He seems like the guys seem to respect him too. At the end of the day,
Yeah,
that's another thing I feel like this last year there was just like it was like who's really the coach here? Like is Darvin Ham even doing anything? Like it just felt like there was just so much of a disconnect between the players and the coaching staff, and like you could see it in the huddles, you could see it all the time, and now like just looking in the huddles now, like it. Yeah, things come up like that. You heard LeBron like talking to Rui, talking to like swing it, dropping the F bomb and all that. But like those are just guys trying to compete at the end of the day. Like that stuff's gonna happen. I'm not worried about that. But like when JJ's talking, or you got even like LeBron talking, like all the guys are everyone's paying attention. Everyone's there. No one seems to be like down at the other side of the bench, just not because you see that with some teams, and it's like, oh my gosh, that's how do they even function? It's just you can see it right there. So just that little just that small difference there, I think, is going to correlate to a decent amount more wins for the Lakers. Just because, again, there's just way more structure. They have just the foundation in place right now.
yeah. No, I'd agree. Let's get into the show. Let's get into the swing of things.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, Grant, what you got for us today?
Yeah, so obviously with it being, I mean, again, pretty relatively young in the season here. There's just a couple teams since we're starting off. We got the Thunder and Cavs right now who are just simply playing some really good basketball. Haven't lost a game as of this recording here. Playing just some really really good ball. Now, obviously, I'm not saying so much that the Thunder was really a huge shock that they're playing well. I know you had them going, was I believe to the finals, correct? Was that your
Yeah,
prediction?
yeah,
So I mean, I know obviously you got high expectations for this team and whatnot, but more or less, I'd like to get your thoughts on the kind of the Cavs' hot start and what exactly, if you have any thoughts as to why they're doing the things that they're doing and kind of if they're going to keep this up moving forward.
Yeah. So I mean, I can't lie. The It's shocking. I didn't think they would be undefeated 6 games in the season. Um, and they've played some good quality teams. But I think the main thing that's kind of helped them this year is just the play of Evan Mobley. Evan Mobley has really stepped up and been better, played better so
Oh
far
yeah.
throughout the season. But I don't know. I feel like there's just a different approach to what he's doing this year. 18, 8. I think that's another thing that's kind of helping this Cavs team. And then, I mean, just defensively wise, I think they're a little bit better.
Oh
I
yeah.
haven't watched every game that they've played in, but kind of like looking at stats and seeing what I have saw. I mean, their defense, they play harder, they play with a little bit more heart. And this team has been together for, I think, the fourth year now. Yeah, this is Mobley's fourth year. Um, at least the core of Garland's and Mobley, and then Donovan Mitchell. This is his third year. So I feel like now, when you get those guys together, you've seen with the Celtics how much chemistry matters. I think
Hmm.
it just kind of comes down to that. Just being able to play with each other, play within each other's games, highlight each other's games without trying to bring someone else down. Um, I still think that I don't think that the Cavs are going to go far, like in the postseason once we get there. Um, but I don't know. I could be wrong, so we'll see. But
Yeah.
they gotta match up with Boston right now, and I don't think they're anywhere close.
Yeah, no, I agree. And like they definitely like defensive wise, they've stepped up incredibly, you know. Darius Garland, he's playing phenomenally on defense. They're him and Donovan Mitchell too. Like they're turning steals into points there, which is I mean, if you look at the numbers there, like they're leading the league right now in steals with 11. Like they're top of that and they're second right now in points per game. Like, you know, they're putting up 124 right now, almost 125. It's it's a mix of I think both their offense and defense. You know, them converting the steals into points, whatnot. Evan Mobley. I mean, again, I don't even look to him as much as necessarily the scoring type. He's really turning into more like that lockdown center too, like in the paint.
Yeah.
I mean, he's helped out like enormously down there. Obviously, grabbing rebounds, whatnot. So that's fantastic. But yeah, I definitely think just the fact that they're able to convert all of these easy steals into points there so efficiently is helping them out enormously for sure.
Yep.
But also, I want to get to your team here, kind of what you were saying earlier with the Thunder. Obviously, they're off to a hot start as well. A lot of us, kind of, I wouldn't say a lot of us, but a decent amount probably have them going a decent way in the playoffs there. You know, what are they doing so good right now, or do you think this is something that we just should come to expect with this team here moving forward?
I think it's a little bit of
Oh, wow.
both. Last year, they were the team that kind of exceeded everybody's expectations and kind of shocked a lot of people just because of how consistent they were. We knew that they were going to be good. They had a bunch of good young talent. It was just going to be a matter of time of when they could put it all together. And I think now they're being able to put it all together. Last year, I think just the emergence of Shea really boosted that team. Um, Chet playing his first year. I think now that helps more coming into this season. So I feel like it goes back to that chemistry thing too. Chemistry is great.
Mhm.
Um, they have guys that want to play for each other. They got a coaching staff that works hard. So I feel like from now, I see them. They could probably run at the top with the West, like just be the number one seed. If they continue to, with this good play and just like I said, just staying consistent because that's really been from what I've seen what they've been able to do. I feel like
Mhm.
it just takes them. It's a little bit slower, but they play at their own pace too, which I mean that's dangerous for if you can get a team to play your pace of basketball. then that's very
Hmm.
easy. I think for you to get the win and kind of run the table.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree there. Uh, Really, yeah, my big thing with this team especially is chemistry. Like they're starting to put it together. Obviously, they look like they're just having fun. They're kind of an unorthodox. They're a younger team,
Hmm.
but like they just have so much fun when they're out there together, and you can see it. And like that's definitely a contributing part to like they play so hard for definitely like one another. It's not you see some of these guys out there, and it's just you're not, kind of going through the motions. I will, you're not necessarily, I wouldn't say not trying, but it's just like when everyone has a team goal in mind, like it's just so much better. It makes everything so much better. You're gonna have guys that are fighting for your side by side. It's just everything about it is just going to be so much better. And so yeah, to your point, I think I think this team will definitely do well. I see them being a top of the regular season there. Um, but I do want to get real quick just to a hot take real quick because actually my hot take does involve the Thunder.
Okay.
Um, I agree with you 100%. I think the Thunder are extremely talented. I think chemistry, they're kind of putting things together. However, I'm going to say this. I think that they're going to finish either, top one, top two in the West. But I don't think they make it to the conference finals depending on who they play. And that's not even a knock on them. I think the West is just also super competitive with I'm very high on the Timberwolves and the Mavs right now. I think those two I have a hard time putting them still above either of those two teams. So I think with time, even like next year potentially, I think we're going to see it eventually. It's going to hit its time, but that's kind of my hot take, if you will. I don't think that the Thunder are going to make the Western Conference Finals.
That I don't know. It's a hot
I wouldn't
take
say
for
it's
sure.
Yes, I wouldn't say it's a hot take because again, Western Conference Finals is still crazy,
Right.
but like
I see what you mean though. The West does have. I mean, the West is a gauntlet.
West
So
is tough.
yeah,
There's no
whoever
there's
they
no
play those.
letdown. Like even whoever's going to be the 8 seed I see out there is
Yep.
still not going to be like a traditional 1 versus 8. I don't think.
Hmm.
I mean, everyone's going to be a dogfight. I think we could see every single team be above 500
Oh yeah.
in the West for sure. Like a couple games at that.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel right now I have them locked into the Western Conference Finals. I think that they get there and they lose, or they get there, make the finals, and lose in the finals. I don't think they're
Hmm.
gonna win it all, but
I see. I see.
I mean, I just like this team. Somebody said the other day, like this is like an AAU team, and Shea's just the best player. And I
Yeah.
was like, honestly, the way they play, like yeah, like you could
That's
say
what I'm
like
saying. Yeah, it really is. Like it's a very unorthodox kind of like just way of doing it. It's
yeah,
kind of fun to watch. I mean, they're fun to watch for sure.
that's a hot take. Yeah, I still think that they're gonna make it to the conference finals, just because I'm not sold yet on the Timberwolves, just because of the whole Julius Randle thing. It'll be interesting to see. He's usually starts out good, but once we get Christmas time, that's when he starts falling off the rails a little bit. So we'll see. Maybe he'll be different.
That's true. It could. And then lastly, kind of bringing up here. So obviously we talked about some of the more shocking, like kind of good teams here. Real quick, I think we both kind of agree on this one here. Team that's kind of shocked me that has definitely underperformed this year. I know they got Doc Rivers at coach, but I mean, my goodness, like I just thought that with like one more year with him and Giannis, like it would kind of get put together more. They'd have at least more of a just kind of a feel for each other's game with like either running the pick and roll, pick and fade, doing
Yeah,
this or that. I saw this offense coming together so much more, and I know Chris Middleton being out still definitely hurts a little bit, you know, because he is a key piece, obviously for sure. I know he's a little bit up there in age still, but definitely a contributing factor to this offense, especially. He's one of the better shot makers on that team there, and he was someone they went to, down the stretch way before they even had Dame. So
yeah,
again, they just have looked bad. I mean, they're 1-4 at the moment. They just, frankly, I don't know how else to say it. They look like shit.
No.
They just don't look good. So I want to kind of get your thoughts as well, because for me at least, I definitely had this team. I mean, again, it's still early, so I'm not saying they can't, but I definitely had this team finishing a lot higher than they did like last year, just because again, I thought with just more experience with this team, when you have Dame and Giannis, you have to be able to put something together. You
Yeah.
just simply have to. I mean, there's no other way to describe it, and it hasn't looked like that at all.
Yeah. No, so the Bucks last year, we were all talking about how it was a good trade and it'll work. But last year, you could tell that they were winning games, even when they had Adrian Griffin. They were winning games strictly on talent. And
Yeah.
why they went to go try and hire Doc Rivers, still don't understand that. What they needed was a
No.
defensive minded coach because honestly, that's what it comes down to with this team. They play no defense. I mean, yeah, Dame has looked terrible, and I think that's another thing that maybe they shouldn't have done. I don't know if the chemistry between Dame and Giannis is there. I thought that they think that this was going to be like 2K and they was going to be dropping 100 points, every game, something like that. But it's not working. And I couldn't tell you what exactly it is because it's not like Giannis is playing bad as well. Giannis is putting up MVP caliber
Hmm.
stats.
Oh
Dame
yeah.
is, Brooke Lopez is doing his part, and it's literally Giannis, Dame, and then role players. And then, like you said, missing Chris Middleton is a big piece, but I don't know if that would change anything. Maybe, possibly, just because he does bring a little bit more defense to the table. But um, I think it's only a matter of time before either one of the two things happen. I give it. I'll give it to the 20 game mark, 20-25 game mark, and then we can discuss this again.
Yeah.
But either
I,
Doc
I
Rivers is
agree.
going to be fired or Giannis is going to demand a trade. It's one of the two.
I mean, at the end of the day, yeah, it's just like there has to be something, and I'm just not. Again, I still think the Doc hiring was the worst hire that they've had. That just
I still don't understand why they fired Mike Budenholzer. That made no sense. All
Mike
because
Budenholzer, I don't know why they fired. Yeah, Griff, I don't know why they fired him.
if you
There's so
miss,
many just like
yeah,
what ifs too, because I think like I'm trying to make it make sense. Because honestly, like they're and like again, not even on like some 2K logic. Like those two, just like the way that their games are structured, like should actually play well together. So it's either the offensive scheme or just something that they just I don't know if they haven't found it yet. Just maybe Dame and Giannis just don't have that chemistry. They're just not there, I guess. But something needs to change, obviously, because they have way too much talent to be letting teams just stomp all over them.
yeah,
It's yeah, it's just wild to me that some team that went from being in the finals with basically almost a relatively similar roster, obviously some bench guys, some core guys left, but really just adding like Dame to that, and you actually are significantly worse.
yeah,
That tells me that there's something bigger, and I personally think it's Doc. And I think Dame needs to he just needs kind of like what I would say with like Anthony Davis, like having him just like step into that role a little bit.
mm-hmm,
Like Dame needs to know that like yeah, Giannis is putting up those numbers, but like that's you too. Like you got to go out there and get yours like, at the end of
yeah,
the day.
yeah,
And he just looks like he's just fitting in. He's not standing out. That's kind of the simplest way I can put it.
yeah. No, that's right on the money. I mean, he is kind of like he's just another body there. Um, and so yeah, he's had a rough start to the season, but you date back to last season, he wasn't doing too hot either. So, yeah, I don't know what they got to end up doing. I'll be
I mean,
surprised to see if they make no changes before the All Star break.
yeah, and why Drew Holiday ever left that city is that's
Yeah,
just
because he was in
criminal.
a Dame trade. Yeah, he was in a Dame trade. They shouldn't have did that.
Like at the end of the day, like yeah, you look back on that. That's what I'm saying. Like if that's really like if you're missing like I guess that defensive part of it, it still just doesn't make. I mean, again, they just have plain and simple. You have too much talent to be losing.
Yeah,
There just should be no excuses other than that right there.
yeah. No, You're right. I think another thing you didn't mention, but what I want to talk about is the Nuggets. You know, they're kind of slow start to the year. I do have a hot take on that one since you gave
Hmm.
one. If they don't go to the conference finals this year, that team is going to be completely different next year.
So you're with Michael Porter Jr.
Yeah. Oh yeah. 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 I'm with Michael Porter Jr. Whether it's Michael Malone gets fired, whether they move on from MPJ because he's the first one that's out of there, or
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Jamal or Aaron Gordon. I don't know, but they don't get to the conference finals this year. I think it's GG's for that core.
Yeah, I agree. Actually, I do agree. I think conference finals. Yeah, because I mean, realistically, that's a team that should also be there. Like that's the thing with the West too. The West is just so stacked right now. But
Yeah,
however, that is a team that championship experience. They should definitely be getting there. I almost want to say that MPJ might be on the chopping block. He definitely should be the
yeah,
one I think to go. Out of all of them there, I mean, him and Aaron Gordon for sure would be. Because I think Jamal Murray, I wouldn't want to get rid of Jamal Murray for sure.
yeah,
There's just, I think he's got too much talent just to kind of get rid of that. I'm not even no matter if he goes through stretches or whatnot. Because I mean, we all get it, go through cold slumps, whatnot. But
yeah,
for the most part, he's pretty consistent, and he's showed up in the playoffs too when it matters at times. So I'm completely here for him staying. I know the end of his playoffs last year wasn't the greatest, but I'd still put more faith in him than than MPJ or Aaron Gordon. So
yeah,
I would actually really agree with that. I think if they don't do something there, that for sure MPJ would be hitting the road.
yeah. No, yeah. I don't know why he would say that either, because he would be the first one out of there. So that's kind
Yeah,
of
no, he's
interesting.
cooked. Yeah, he's the first one on the train there. So
He's gonna automatically know the GM's already onto him. He already knows. So I mean, that's good for him
exactly,
though. Maybe he knows some destinations already looking for houses and stuff. So
that's true. That's true. Yeah, he. Oh man.
But that's all that we have for today. Like I said, interesting season start to the season. Two undefeated teams left. The Jazz are the only team that hasn't won a game yet, but they kind of wasn't, I'd say,
Yeah.
shocking because they were kind of expected to be at the bottom there with Portland. So, but the Pistons, they could be on the come up. We're just waiting. We just waiting. They had to play the
Yeah.
bottom schedules the first 10 games, so but that's what I said. Get to the 25 game mark. If we get to at least 500 or close to 500, I think there's a chance. There's a chance.
That's fair. We'll see. We'll see. They got a pulse. They got something going.
Yes, sir. That's what I'm saying. That's all I need. That's all I need.
Yeah, that's true. They just need a pulse.
Right? No, for real. But yeah, but that's all we got for you guys now. Until then, we'll get you guys next time.